Okay, welcome back for the folks listening. So you're here with myself, Olu, Shuwal, Daniel, and Pabilo. Woo! So on this episode, we're going to be covering financial freedom. This is a dear topic to Pabilo. Let's just call the person out.
Say everything with your chest. Say everything with your chest.
So we're going to go on that topic. Then I'm going to move on to a book recommendation, which will be led by me. So stay tuned and let's get started.
Take off, take flight with you. For we never fly, but we're flying.
You sure?
I always leave on good terms. 99 times out of 100.
I think there's a couple that will cuss you down still.
Nah.
I'm sure about that. You got skeletons in that closet.
No skeletons. If this is recording, I've got no skeletons. I'm a clean, upstanding member of society. Don't try to catch me like that, Olu. I saw it. I know you're recording, so you're trying to catch me.
I'm not recording. No, I'm joking. I'm playing. Okay. So.
Is anyone hot? Nah, it's just you, big man.
It's because
it's
because he just
he's hot still. You swear?
It's just
Olu,
because
you look like you're in Nigeria.
you guys are sending for my
connection. Got that shiny forehead like you've been in the humidity, and the AC ain't on.
Coming from the guy that's just shaved his forehead, yeah, you can't be telling me that I'm hot.
Just add a quick comment. Pabilo's got his head shaved and he's looking like a young Denzel. So he's ready for this episode. Come on. Guys, by the way, we've made it to episode 10.
Yeah, it's minor.
All praise to the Most High.
Them man on the Madden podcast, they're at 100, 102. 103, I saw it.
Yeah, but 10, this is solid stretch.
I saw you said we'll test it at 10. At 10, we'll decide if we're going to continue or not.
That was 4. 4 was when we... 4, and it was close. We made it. Like, there was times I thought we weren't going to make it to... I didn't think we were going to make it past episode 4. Okay, so let's get started.
Wow.
Daniel, let's kick it off. Financial freedom. No, big man. I know this is a big thing to you. Say everything you've got on your chest. Come on. It means, I know. It means, you've been talking about this, and you come on. We should let you have this whole episode. Have it. No. Let me learn from you. Let me learn from you. I'm trying to be like you. Let me learn. Look, I'm trying to be like you.
Listen. Come on, man.
Let me learn from you. Drop those pearls of wisdom. Oh. We're all on our journey there. So, Daniel, kick it off. Does it even matter to you? That's the question. No, seriously, I'm just serious. So I see financial freedom as how I perceive it is. It's not retirement, what a lot of people think, but it's more of not allowing a day job or having to rely on a day job to live your life. You have the flexibility, you have enough money in the bank to live a life and have a lifestyle that you want without not having to worry about necessarily a day job, but you have a number of streams or different revenue streams of income to help sustain your lifestyle. And essentially you have more coming in than you have going out.
Exactly.
So that could be £50,000. Someone could be financially free with £50,000. Yeah.
You see, the funny thing, when I connect it less to the aspect, and it's a mindset.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I feel like we've been, and I could just talk about myself, but we've been brought up in a way to think of the old-fashioned, work a nice job, get a good pension, retire at the age of 60, 70 after working for the man for the last 30, 40 years, try and go on 1 or 2 holidays a year, make sure you pay that one mortgage off, retire and have a nice, slow life in retirement. But when I think of financial freedom, it's really saying, you know what? You need to scrap that way of thinking and change your mindset to a way that you actually live and enjoy life. So how can you do that? So for every single person, it's different. Someone might be able to enjoy life with 10,000 if that covers or 5,000 a year if that covers their outgoing. But it's not having to be dictated by another person or another company, and being able to just live your life the way you see fit and what makes you happy without any restraints.
Yeah, so, I echo your point there with regards to it's actually nothing to do, although it's called financial freedom. On one hand, it has nothing to do with money, but it's more a principle, a way of living, and a mindset. And just from my own experience, it's something which has come up
more and more, it's become more and more apparent to me as at the end of sort of last year. It was a pretty tough year at work. And I just started to look at it and see, okay, if I continue along this path, what does it look like over the next 15, 20 years, right?
Did your workplace give you like a final warning or something?
What,
The way you made that sound like it came apparent last year. Was it your performance review?
The reason why I say it is because everybody knows what financial freedom is, but I think comes a point in time where you actually really start to pay attention to it and perhaps work on it. So I think there's a difference between also being interested in it and also being committed towards it. So, but yeah, to your point. So I just think for me, looking at it now is I kind of challenge things and say, what would life look like if we didn't start in our corporate roles and we had the freedom to create, solve problems, build, and what would that look like? So having the freedom to design your agenda and go from there. So that's something that which sticks with me and I'm working towards.
Yeah, I think just to add on probably one point is the biggest thing financial freedom means to me is time, basically, because money is a resource that hopefully is unlimited, and as long as we apply ourselves, we're able to get as much as we want whenever we need it. But time, once that time goes, you really can't claim that time back. So that can be time with family, time with friends, even time on your own. And I think if you ultimately get to a state of financial freedom, where, as Ollie was saying, you're not working for the man, or you're in a position where you're not reliant on anyone else for your income, then ultimately you have that time to do whatever you want. And that is really priceless. So,
time is a key thing, man. We're not getting younger.
Cool. So we covered that first question, what financial freedom means to us. Now, I think we've touched upon the point why is it individually important to achieve it? So P, I think you mentioned last year you're going through something at work which gave you that clarity, but why is it now important for you to achieve it?
Because I think being a long-term thinker and just saying, I know I'm probably going, if I continue along the path that I'm working in now and keep building your career path and you keep climbing the ladder, and I've seen people around the ages of 37, 40, 42, and I have to ask myself, do I want to be in that position when I'm there? And so it's basically engineering my moves now to kind of perhaps avoid the pains that I see people in those positions. It's just my personal opinion. So it's kind of doing what I can do now to free up time, because I think that I think financial freedom is also something which becomes more important as you get older, because as you mentioned, guys, about time. So when you start to build a family, I think you're going to certainly want to have more flexibility, more choices, a lot more freedom around that point in time. And what I've seen is a lot of people sort of get to that age and realize this is something they would like to have. And perhaps then it becomes a little bit too late to start working on, because they've now got responsibilities that they need to uphold. So it's working knowing that it's something you're going to have to face at a later stage.
How about you guys? Ollie, what's your view? Why is it important to you?
For me, it was a realization similar to P, but mine wasn't based on a final warning. It was more... Yeah, mine was less of a final warning, but so a few years ago, as the guys on the podcast know, I used to be an auditor, and there was crazy hours away from family and friends, and then I started asking myself, what am I doing it for? Like, what is the end goal in this whole thing? Like, and I started, similar to P, I started seeing people around who went the corporate route, and there was an element of them that looked like they were empty. They didn't feel like they were completely fulfilled. Some people were just coming in, clocking in, doing their work, leaving. You didn't see the true joy in the whole process. So when I started thinking, you know what, I can't see myself doing this for a long period of time. So how do I start to create, and we're going to get into it, I guess, in this podcast, but how do I start to create situations and things around me which will allow me to be financially free, or if I am going to work a significant amount of time, something that I'm extremely passionate about, that it doesn't really feel like work. So and I also want to be clear as well, is that by no way, shape or means are we knocking corporations, and because I think there's a lot of value to extract and you can leverage that opportunity. But I also am a strong believer that it's a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Especially if you don't necessarily go for a company which is aligned with your purpose and your goals, which you usually find out later on in your life. And so
I believe that this sense of freedom, once it's achieved, you will then realize what it is that you should be doing, or you're actually then your purpose is, to Olu's point. So, and that's what fascinates me. It's this pursuit of a particular space whereby once I'm in it, I believe, then I'll be able to realize, oh, this is actually what I'm driven to do. This is what I should be doing. Whereas up until that point, it's kind of just working and providing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, what makes it really important is I think it also stems from growing up. So my dad came from a very small village in Bangladesh, and he comes from a village where they hardly had anything. And he was given the lucky opportunity to come to the UK and work and support for his family. But I've seen firsthand him working very, very hard with his own businesses, and businesses which actually provided for us while growing up. But now he's in a position where financially he probably didn't take all the best decisions for a family. And now I'm basically the main income in the household. Now I'm happy to support my parents now, and I've been very fortunate to be in a position where I can do that for my family. But I want to be in a position where in the future, in 20, 30 years time, I can give a lot to my kids without having to worry about looking after them in 40 years time. I want to have the freedom to do what I want, and also give them the tools to make the most out of their life. And I think based on the last 6-7 years that we've been given collectively, we can have a greater impact in the future if we work on all of these things now. So that's why it's important to me anyway.
Yeah. Because picking up on Olu's joke, which is not really a joke actually. So in my 7 years of working now, I've been a part of 2 restructurings. And then you end up with these situations, you find new roles, or if you want to leave, you could take the letter and go. And what this does, it just basically reminds you that you're not in control. So moving to this space of having that freedom gives you the control to be able to spend time with who you want to spend time with, and solve problems however you want to solve problems. So it's also a control piece. Again, not knocking what you can get out of it, but you'll realize very quickly that you're not in control.
And it's so good you mentioned that. That is so true. That is because there's an element of it where people feel like there's loyalty to a company. Yeah.
Olu, I feel like you got an experience you want to share. Go on.
No.
Go on.
I don't have an experience I have to share, but after I finished my audit as an audit manager, I came back to London and I was looking for jobs. And because of the climate of London, it was tough to get a job in my company. But then you start to look around and you say, you know what? There's an element of you that's still just a number on a page aspect of it. So look, the business and the company is always going to have their best interest at heart. You always have to consider and think about your best interest. So understand that you working there getting a salary is a trade-in of your time and your skills. But don't just go through the motions. Whilst you're in that corporation, learn something, develop yourself, because one, you're helping the company by developing, but also you're helping yourself because you're making yourself valuable. If there's a restructuring or there's a reason for you to move on, you've gained something from that experience that you can leverage and use in a different way. So, that's one area that so many people just solely focus on a company. And I'm not knocking companies. Like, I'm grateful for my experience and all that my company's provided me. I wouldn't be 100%. Where I am if it wasn't for the skills and what they provided me. But I've always, in the back of my mind, always said, look, always think about yourself and make sure you gain the skills so that you're attractive outside of it.
The other thing I just want to add to that is I think about what would a working life be if you was financially free. So in many cases people think, okay, financially free, I don't have to work a 9 to 5. But actually, and I don't believe it means not working. I think it means finding more meaningful work. You probably end up working harder. But picture yourself in a position where you don't have to go to work on a Monday, but you go. And you're going to work as per usual. The shackles are off. You're going to speak up more. You won't necessarily sort of be conditioned to particular behavior because you're no longer there for that check or that salary. And so I actually think you would, even if you decided to stay in a particular corporation, you're even more powerful as an associate because you're not bound to a particular way of working because you don't have to be here, but you want to be. Yeah. So it goes back to that choice.
That's choice is the key word, man. Choice. We need an Instagram post from UP just saying choice.
Choice.
Now, so what you guys actually, because I think everyone's passionate about financial freedom, what you guys actually doing currently to get closer to it, to be financially free?
Yeah, Daniel, what's your view on the topic? Because you've been quite quiet this episode so far.
Oh no, my view echoes a lot of what you said.
Yeah.
It seems like he's shackled down.
No. Mine stems from growing up and seeing my dad, and essentially him being around the family all the time, even when I was in like primary school, picking me up from school, but yet working. And that, always throughout my life, even till now, and having the flexibility to travel as and when he wants. Besides, of course, any working commitments or engagements he has. So I've always looked up to him in terms of, how can I be like this? So I'm not necessarily in the longer term relying on a day-to-day job, but my role, the highlight or the focus, really kind of was magnified when I got married. And I thought, okay, I'm a married man now. Yeah, I want to provide for the family, but also, given my working hours, they're quite long. Plus my commute, I'm spending more time probably outside of my house than I do in my house. So when it is time to start a family, when we start a family, do I really see this as conducive to a longer term thing? So that really sparked, and I asked the question to myself, what can I do in order to maybe generate other income streams, do other things that can help, and then a longer term allow me to be part of my family and my children's upbringing. Not only because of the way I was brought up, but I see a father has a very important role to play in a family's life, children, being around your spouse, etc. And that's where it's really important for me, and it was really heightened when I got married. When you're single, it's not so much, because it's not necessarily it's not necessarily reality.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything, but I'm saying no. But it wasn't so much at the forefront of your mind. It's probably at the back. But when you get married, you're thinking, no, this is actually real now. I need to start thinking and get the wheels in motion as to what I want to do.
So imagine when you start having kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because do you really want to be in the office all hours of the day, and then thinking, right, I'm coming home and my children are already in bed, and I've already left the house before they get up, and the only time I see them is if I'm doing night feed.
There was one guy that when I was an intern, he lived in, I think it was Manchester, and we were working in London. He used to drive home. He was like, he doesn't see his kids in the week, because by the time he leaves so early to get to London,
that's tough,
and
man.
By the time he gets home, they're already in bed. So he just gets home just in time to just give them a kiss. And I was just like, that is not life, man.
Yeah, what's the point? What's the point of that job?
But at the same time, you got to also, I respect someone like that, because he's obviously doing it because he needs to. But at the same time, try and avoid putting yourself in a situation you need to do something for that outcome. So, if we think ahead, maybe that can help alleviate or, deter you from having to do such things.
But just on that point, do you guys think, because I mean, to a certain extent, that person that we're talking about now is committing a lot to get paid, to do his job, to support for his family. But do you think that if he was to take a step back, that there's no other options to be closer to his family, see his family, and then still provide the same?
There probably are options, but that could also be his strategy. He might be doing it for X period of time. I don't know.
Exactly.
The issue there, and this is the scary part about this topic, is that we've normalized a lot of things which don't make any sense, and they're insane. And I think that's one example. And I don't want to use this podcast to go through a number of examples, because we've all got many from work, right? There was recently a guy who had his whole holiday booked up, and then they was told kind of last minute, nah, we've got we have a leadership meeting around that time. You're gonna have to cancel it. And this is this guy, big dude. Like,
you know what this reminds me of?
Exactly.
Do you guys remember the Dame Dash's interview where he's like, you ain't a boss. You ain't a man. You gonna call another man a boss? Your kids can't look at you. Your kids can't look at you. You got a son. You have to.
So I think the thing is, these are the things that I'm talking about in terms of you wanna. A lot of these, like this is why it hits me, because this is the great thing also I think about where we work, is that we're able to collect data. So we're looking at different examples and different people. We're saying, you can say to yourself, do I want to be in that position or not? Yes or no, yes or no. And I've seen many cases where I say, no, I want to have more control, because I don't want to get to that age and then say, oh, well, I'm here because I'm justified because of my salary. You're going home late. You're going home at 11 o'clock. The kids are gone to bed, and then you got to wake up at 5, and you don't even see a kid. It doesn't work.
Your son's calling you Pabilo and not father.
So I think I would say at this stage, at our age, it's you want to working towards that position to avoid a lot of pains that along the road.
So what are you guys currently doing? What are you doing to get there? Let's be transparent. What are some of the stuff you're doing?
Yeah, for me, the main vehicle at this moment in time is property. So property, which we discussed on the last episode, is a great vehicle to build wealth, income, and the income is relatively passive. It's not completely passive, but that certainly is something which will help and is helping.
Yeah, I think for me it's also property is probably the biggest one at the moment. Invested some money in shares as well, but again, you're getting dividends and stuff. It's not something which is generating huge. It's more for that long-term value play. And yeah, just continuously trying to stay educated about. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And just continuously trying to stay educated. And I think while being in a corporate space, trying to explore avenues that I am curious and passionate about that may not necessarily lead to any financial gains now, but because I have a passion behind it, such as giving back for students, or even this podcast, for example, or Instagram or whatever, things that you have a passion about, it's important to explore those, even if they're not necessarily leading to a financial benefit now, because in the long term, it will keep you driven and it may lead to something bigger that's not even within your scope now. So
guys, imagine if we were financially free, we could record every single day of the week.
I don't think I want to spend that much time with you.
The first thing I should have said, actually, just before I mentioned the real estate, the first thing I'm doing is looking to, effectively living below the means. Because if you can lower that threshold, you get to your financial freedom number, whatever it may be, sooner.
So no more champagne for breakfast or whatever.
Astaghfirullah, I don't drink champagne.
Who saw that video on Instagram with P with a sword?
Video.
What was that video with the sword then?
No, that was savouring champagne, but that was non-alcoholic.
Okay, non-alcoholic. Okay, sorry.
I'm on my deen.
But you said you're living below the means.
Should have won la ilaha illallah. What do you mean?
You're living below the means. You're looking real.
Yeah, but I was given that bottle. But you guys don't sweat the technique. You see the technique.
I guess everyone's got different levels to their means as well. Pabilo's one might be pretty high. That's why.
That's why I got a lower it, cuz you get me.
No, but actually, Pete, you make a great point, because I think this is a common trap that people fall into, and I think I've seen that in the professional space quite a lot, where people progress up the ladder and they're getting more and more money from their company. But in terms of their expenses, they let their expenses creep up just as much as their income, if not even more.
Yes.
Then you could be in the position where you're in your mid-40s, you're in a high-level position in a big company, earning a lot more money than you ever dreamed of. But then because your expenses have continued to track and you haven't invested that money in any way, shape or form, then tomorrow if you get a phone call saying your job is gone, you're just as screwed as someone who's earning a fifth of what you're earning with the bills 1/5 of what your bills are. So it's very important, I think, to keep that mindset, because otherwise it can happen to anyone at any level.
It's the mindset for real, because I remember when I finally got a job here, got a promotion, slightly more money. I was like, okay, let me get a car. Went to the car dealership, yeah. And I was like, look at.
Oh no, I thought I taught you well, man.
No. I did. So I looked at the car dealership. I was like, okay, let me see what car I should get. I had so much influence from people saying, yo, you should get a Range. Roll up in that Range. I know you got Range, man.
Olu, I'm not gonna lie, you would look good in a Range.
No, but the thing is, P said about living below your means. P, you try and gas me up every single time.
he's the voice. That's the bad influence.
And you know exactly the example you know exactly the example I'm referring to.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Example.
First of all, you initiate that type of energy, so you're gonna do that. You see what I'm gonna say? If you floss in front of me, I'm gonna show you certain things. So that's what it is. That's what it is.
No, and exactly. So you have people just that voice in your head saying, "Yo, start, show them the levels," and then you've got to have that mindset to say, you know what? Do I need that car? So let me get something more affordable. You know, still a good runaround car, you know, but more affordable and within a comfortable expense where I still can invest. I can still do other avenues, and I'm more than comfortable versus getting a range or whatever and just struggling to pay my bills or whatever. I like got a range bar, it's always empty.
Can I have a full tank?
I like
£10.
no, but I agree with you guys. I think for me the biggest thing I'm doing right now, or I think properties is obviously one that we're all involved in. Outside of that, I'll say it's just stuff like this. This podcast for me, we're not making any money right now. Zero money. Just so that all the listeners know. Wait.
Just say shit.
Well, you guys are making money from this? What do you guys make money? But we're not.
Instagram pays well, you know what I mean?
No, we're not. But we're planting a seed. That's financial freedom. You're planting a seed, and you don't know. A year down the line, we'll be playing this episode again, and Spotify or someone would have already signed it. You never know. So it's just planting those seeds and looking at different opportunities out there.
Yeah, for me, it's like you've been saying, but something I love to do is some angel investing. So I've invested in a number of small companies, maybe 10 different companies, and it's starting to give a good return. And that's something I've done.
Yo. Why are you not bringing man through? Why am I hearing about this? Why am I hearing this now? We're not sharing on this podcast, yeah?
The thing, Olo, you should know Daniel has one rule, and his rule is this: each to their own.
Yo, why am I hearing that? I've been looking to...
Listen, Daniel's been rolling that way since 89, bro, so I ain't surprised.
Yo, if I find out that you got this crazy tech company that blows up, and you didn't bring man them through.
On IPO, do not be surprised that your name is not on that list.
Billy, what's it?
Do not be surprised.
I like Billy, actually. Yo.
I accepted it as a friend, and I'm fine with it.
Yo, Daniel, any IPOs you're doing, come to me. I'll invest as well. I don't want to miss any opportunity.
You'll get post IPO.
No, but that's right. Continue. The angel investing.
Yeah, so investing in a small number of companies, and yeah, you can do like equity crowdfunding and all of that stuff. So it's good fun.
I love the way you said that. Good fun, man's just planting some seeds. Just planting some seeds.
Let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think people? Why do you think not everybody is sort of obsessed with this, and why do you think people don't get a chance to live, or die without having lived financially free?
Simple. I think it's the mindset. People are short-termism. So they're only thinking about the immediate future, not thinking long-term. People probably, ask people what's your 10-year, 20-year plan, and not thinking, not even in regards to work, but just outside of work. What is it? And most people couldn't answer that question. Most people hesitate because people live probably day to day, year by year, without listening to episode 3 or 4, whatever it was, when we're talking about goal setting. And all comes down to setting goals and having a strategy in place that you want to strive to achieve.
Yeah.
I
agree with that, Daniel. I think we have surrounded ourselves with like-minded people. So for us, this seems like the norm. And like talking to some friends that were like, yo, you got to understand, there's an advantage that we have based on our upbringing, based on the people that we've come in contact with. And we've been able to see that there's more to life than doing a 9-to-5 job. And for some people, that's what they want, and that's what makes them happy. Because with financial freedom, there does come additional amount of risk. There comes the hard work and the grafting and sleepless nights sometimes. So for some people, that's not what they want, and that's fine. It's fine. But they need to understand the choice that they're making and be comfortable with it.
I think to answer my own question, I think it has a lot to do with the conditioning. So the house in which you was raised. If you was raised in a house where everybody went to work and nobody lived sort of life on their terms, why would you think you need to do it yourself? And so that's why it's an interesting journey that we're on, because you have to take time out to understand the why, understand the risk, and it takes also a lot of balls, because at some point you're gonna have to say to work or whoever you're working with or working for, enough is enough. I need to go off. I need to veer off now and do my own thing. So it's I think it's the conditioning, and also having the balls to say this is how I should be living. It's not about making money, but it's about being able to design my agenda as of how I need to, and move in that direction.
No, I agree, Pierre. And I think Ollie touched upon it. What do you think is necessarily bad if people aren't so interested in being financially free, but they're happy in their situation? Because
No, I don't.
everyone's different, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. No, I don't. I think the most important thing is being present, and then just being fulfilled. So having that point of happiness. The only thing I will say is that I feel I would love everyone to be in a position where they can try to experience it, because once you've experienced it, I mean, people experience it on holiday. That's why they love it so much.
Yeah.
But I think then you would give yourself an opportunity to realize and say, you know what? Who doesn't want to spend more time with their family? Who doesn't want to spend more time traveling with their family? So I think it's the work that's required to get there, because let's not forget, it's a 1% of the world that live in that financially free. I think everyone should think about it and try and see if it's something they would like to do.
Be aware of it.
Be aware of, for sure.
And I'll say to you, like, there's levels to it. Yeah. There's levels to financial freedom. For me, you want financial freedom in terms of not living at least check to check. I think every single person should be financially free enough not to live check to check. I think they say that you should have savings enough for at least 6 months, that you can afford 6 months with zero salary. Yeah. So yes, we're not saying, okay, go out there, do all these side hustles and whatever, but at the bare minimum, be financially free, that if your company lets you go tomorrow, you get bad news, that you're able to survive. And I think that's the aspect that you need to get people to understand. And the easiest way to do that is, like P said, number one step, reduce your outgoings. Like, it's as simple as that. Reduce your outgoing. If you're going to a fancy restaurant 3-4 times a week, change
That's
that
like
to...
You are like you.
Yo, why are you trying to sell for, man?
No, I'm just saying, you know, I look at your Instagram stories, you know, eating out, you know, living good.
But yeah, you gotta.
You know what I find interesting is that Daniel has an opinion when he's looking at Instagram stories, but he's not going to give you any advice. He's going to just let you phrase. You see what I'm trying to say? He's just watching you. Like, yeah, that's my point.
No, what you
wasting his money?
But what you mean? No, he's not though, because he's. I'm assuming that Olu's living.
Don't assume.
I'm assuming he's
Tell me
he's preaching, because if he's not, then a lot of the listeners are. Boy.
Nah, but yeah, but just reducing it to like once, and that's the first step to make sure that when you lose that job, you're like, okay, I'm comfortable 6 months. I can find something else.
So next question. This is going to be a interesting question. So when are you guys reaching financial freedom?
So actually, one quick question: Have you guys sat down and ever calculated? Because I think whenever people hear the term financial freedom, they think I need millions in the bank, etc. I need a certain amount of income every year.
It's true.
But have a great exercise, and I recommend anyone who's listening to actually sit down and look at your bills and look how much money you would need every month just to sufficiently live the lifestyle that you want. Go to the fancy restaurants like Olu, have enough money for a Range Rover as well.
No, I didn't.
But on a serious level, if you actually sit down just for 10 minutes, calculate how much money you're spending now and how much you would need to sustainably live for a month, times that by 12 and for a year. Most people, I'm sure 95% of people that do this will realize that they don't actually need that much to live that financially free life. So it's an exercise that me and Pabilo actually did it a few weeks ago, and we've done it before anyway. And it's really eye-opening, because you realize, actually, I'm only a few deals away from being financially free and doing and being flexible and doing what I want whenever I want. So it's a great exercise.
It's funny you said that, because I remember, was it like maybe 3 years, P, we spoke about saying, imagine someone just gave you 100K there in the bank. Would you be happy with it? Remember that conversation? You're like saying, imagine just 100K just there, just sitting there in the bank.
Was that uni?
No, this was about 2 years ago. I think, it was about 2016.
You asked me that question.
Yeah, we were having that conversation. Like, saying 100, just 100K. Are you sure you want me to tell you what you said?
What did you say?
No, you said you'd be happy with it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were dumb. Like, no.
No, because we were talking about, imagine just having millions and millions. But then we said, how about if it was just 100K? Would that make a difference? Would we, would it be all right? Would we not have to care and worry too much? And that was the conversation. But sure, yeah, to your point, I think I need to revisit that and do it again, because it's actually quite a fun exercise, and it's also it can scare you when you think about how much you spend.
I'm gonna just do a quick plug. Let me do a quick plug. I've created this Excel tracker for your budget. I'll be uploading that soon, so look out for this budget tracker that I'm creating, and you can use that to be able to see how much you're spending.
I'll get mine to market quicker.
I know you.
What were you saying?
You said it's an interesting and fun exercise. So when was the last time you did yours?
End of last year.
Okay, not too long ago. Actually, I'm gonna say whenever you did it last, it's definitely gone up by a couple thousands. No, but the thing is, to Shua's point, it's very key. A lot of us, we realize, and this number of financial freedom doesn't include any luxuries or any additional savings. It's literally how much you need to continue, or to pay your bills, survive, your travel, etc., whatever the case may be. It's not a lot of money for each person. And the thing is, I read something in Robert Kiyosaki's one of his books. He says, the job was getting in the way of me getting rich, and only when I became financially free, then I was able to get rich. So I think, and this is kind of powerful, and I don't want to make it seem as if I'm not living life until this point, but once you get to that point of financial freedom, then everything sort of takes off and explodes, because you've got the time to then engineer and design your day how you would need to.
For sure.
Actually, just a question for you guys, just to get your opinion. What if you had the choice, right, of being...
Oh, I haven't heard it yet, but it sounds mad.
So if you... Because I think... So for me personally, financial freedom is something which is a priority for me, but I do try to balance it of having good experiences, going where I want, eating where I want.
Guy, man, I know where he's going with this question. I'll ask you this.
So if you guys had a choice, right, of being financially free, say in 2 years, but having to live a tight lifestyle, so not so much traveling, you're not eating the best food or anything, but you're financially
nobody sees you. Baked beans on toast.
Yeah, baked beans on toast every day. So that's in 2 years versus being financially free in 7 years, but within the time between now and those 7 years, you can live a very comfortable life where you can enjoy all the luxuries that you want.
You know why I know the answer? I know everyone's answer because everyone's doing it.
For me,
everyone's doing it right now. All of us, we travel.
Last 7
yes. So we already know the answer.
No. Yeah, but this is... But that's when it comes down to whether you're committed or interested. So in the last 7 years, we've been interested. Yeah. Now we're committed.
Yeah.
So that's why, for me, my answer is option 1.
We'll see about that.
When's your next? You know what's
Put that Instagram.
The next picture you upload, I'm gonna comment at the bottom of it. Financial freedom. Is this financial freedom?
Yeah, I don't have 7 years, mate, and it's not gonna happen. It's not happening in 7 years. 100%.
To be honest, you could say we've been doing that, as you said, the last 7. So the next 2 is cool.
Yeah, I think now we're even extremely more hungry.
I'm gonna watch P's Instagram. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching it like a hawk.
P's gonna be afraid to upload pictures after this podcast.
I'm gonna upload pictures of just beans on toast, and we're gonna be like, P's on it.
I think mine would be 7 years, but I'm pushing towards the 2 years. So traveling less. If I travel now, I go Eurostar or Ryanair.
One or the other. Which one you going?
Who? Olu, me.
Olu, you're 7 years, bro. Daniel, where you at?
I'm 3 years. 3 years now. 3 years.
Nah, that's not option. Daniel, what are you?
7.
Daniel, what are you?
Me, I'm 7.
Mad.
I'll be real with you. I'm not gonna say.
No, that's what I like. That's what I like. 7. You're comfortable.
I think and then I wouldn't say there's necessarily a right or wrong answer. It just comes down to your personal preference. And if by the time you're 60, you're in the same position anyway. I just think for me,
I've got to change my circle of friends. This
podcast
is gonna work, man. I'm on a different timeline.
So is this the last podcast? We're not seeing you next week.
Thing is, P says this now, but I've seen Pabilo when he sat behind the steering wheel of a Porsche 911 with the roof down. If I said to him in his ear, bro, financial freedom, he's like, what? What are you talking about? So you get. If I asked him that question at that time, he would be like, I'm already here, baby. Look.
Oh, dope.
Alright, cool.
Sure, what are you saying? Two or seven?
To be honest, I think I've probably been doing that for the last 7 years, trying to balance the two. I don't think I can personally be so strict to live that type of life for 2 years, but maybe somewhere in between, maybe by 3-4, and then be balanced. But
Now over to Olu with this week's book recommendation.
So I'm actually gonna switch up this book recommendation. You know, I think
I'm excited about this one.
for the last few weeks we've been talking about investments. We've been talking about personal growth.
Wait, hold up, Olu. Why are you unzipping your jacket?
Because I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for this. Are you guys ready? That's the question. Are you guys ready? So, and we've also we've had a lot of feedback from listeners that they wanted to have a book around relationships, you know? So, for this week, the book that I'm going to be doing the review on is called Attached, and it's called The New Science of Adult Attachment and How to Find Love and Keep Love. So, it's by Amir, Levine, and Rachel Heller. So, what do you guys think just about the title?
It sounds like you're on your own with this book review. Go on, you tell us, boy.
Wait, you're the married one. You're the married one. You should be adding to it. So, just background on it. So why I'm decided to read it. This was a book recommended by my girlfriend, and I'll go into the detail on why she recommended it to me. So, let's start from sort of the beginning, and what the book really starts on is around dependency. When you guys hear the word dependency, what do you guys think?
You're coming out strong with that dependency.
I want to emphasize dependency. What do you guys think about dependency? Because I know certain guys on this podcast have probably got the same view as me, and I'm talking about P. I'm calling you out, P.
Where you going with this?
Yeah, Olu, in what context?
So I think a lot of times the world and society has told us we need to be independent. Like we need to be able to survive and thrive by ourselves. So in previous relationship, what I've always had was the mentality of, look, relationships are two individuals coming together, bringing the best out of each other. But I always sort of had the emphasis on, you've got to be independent. I'm independent. Like, I need to go out, do what I'm doing, got my side business, side hustle, really try to hold on to my independence. So do you like, what do you guys think about?
What happens? It starts that way, and as you go along your journey and you realize how powerful your partner is to you, that changes very quickly, because you realize in order to get further, for it to be more enriching, everything, there is no such. Well, there's still an element of There's still an element of independence, because that's what is you as a person. Also, you may actually have to go and lead in certain situations, but there becomes a harmony, and there becomes a situation where if you can sing from the same hymn sheet, that is, I think, where you almost have to sometimes let guard down a bit your ego and rest on each other. Yeah. So I think I was certainly thinking that way. I was like, babe, this is how I roll. This is what I want you to do. This is how we're moving. That's it. Me, I do what I got to do. You do what you got to do. Boom. But no. It changes.
Exactly.
Changes. And I think also there's strength in being able to relax and say, I depend on you for this input. This is how you complete me, and this is where I have gaps, and this is where we exchange.
And then the book sort of talks about, and it starts with a story, or an analogy. So it talks about parents and a child. So typically what happens when a child is in the room with his parents and there's toys, it talks about there's toys in the corner, the kid is in the room with his parents. The kid feels safe enough to go and play with the toys, feels safe enough to run around, have fun. As soon as you remove the parent from that room, instead of the child, and that's sort of talking about independence, instead of the child still feeling comfortable to play with the toys or whatever, it automatically runs to the door, starts missing its parents, so starts crying, etc., etc. So it says the way we should think about dependency is when you do attach yourself to someone, it then gives you the comfort to then be able to even be more independent, go and have fun, travel, do your own business, do all the stuff that you need to do, versus actually worrying about the person that's left the room. So The book then starts off with then moves on to a survey about attachment styles. So there's 3 different types of attachment styles. I can guess what some of the people are, but
is it emotional, chemical, or maybe chemical?
Have you read the book?
No, I haven't. But
Okay, so can I say what it is?
Cool. You're trying to be overbearing and dependent. Cool.
So there's 3 types of attachment styles. So you've got the secure. So the secure person is warming, loving, caring, very understanding, can read emotional cues and styles. Then you've got more the anxious sort of attachment style. So this is someone that's craving intimacy, always chasing it, always wants to be close to someone.
So it's emotional. Cool.
I wouldn't use the word emotional, and I want to make it clear: none of these attachment styles are good or bad. It's just different attachment styles.
Yeah, sure.
And then the last one is avoidant. So this is someone that sort of needs their distance, sometimes struggles to see other people suffering, connects over intimacy with losing their dependency, and they're very like self-sufficient. It's always about, so basically, P, what you used to be.
So Oli, I've got
You're gonna ask me which one am I?
No, not which one are you?
Neither
of them are negative or positive.
Yeah.
But which one did you, when reading the book, which one did you resonate with most?
So they actually have a survey. You actually have a survey that you do at the beginning. So I did a survey. You asked a few questions, and I'll be honest. So I came in. Huh?
You were the last one, weren't you?
No, I was in the middle of secure and avoidant were my 2. So I had both tendencies. So it's not just one. You could have multiple tendencies. You're gone.
No, I was just thinking, it's at some stage you probably own a bit of all 3, because because with the last one actually is powerful if used in the right way, which is some distance. And I had this conversation with Lauren as well. At first it didn't make sense because I said to her every now and then it's very powerful to have, say, a day or 2 to yourself to think, reflect, and to be in a space where it's just, you can just hear your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I always find that, let's say, for example, I'll be a few days in the UK, and then I'll come back. I always come back with more inspiring ideas and different thoughts I can share with her. So, but that's if used. That's when you say avoidance.
But you see, the P on that aspect of it is
space and distance.
Yeah, but P, see what you mentioned with that. 2 things is very important. One is how do you communicate it, and 2 is who is your partner. Because if Lauren, not saying she is more of an anxious person, she's gonna equate that 2 days to, oh, he doesn't love me anymore. Oh, I did, like, so many other aspects of it where it's, and this is obviously the extreme, but instead of you just saying, oh, I needed 2 days to focus on X, Y, and Z sort of thing. So yeah, and I think what you mentioned also, P, is you can have multiple attributes or tendencies. So you can either be secure, anxious, or avoidant. The way to think about that is this can also change over time. It's not just something that you're born with. It can change over a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
So then the book even goes a little bit deeper and talks about, and it's kind of scary because the book says, ideally, an avoidant shouldn't be with a anxious person. Because
So what was your girlfriend trying to tell you?
Huh?
New levels.
No, so it's basically, power is knowledge. So it says basically that ideally they shouldn't be together, but then it says, okay, if you are in a relationship when the person's anxious versus avoidant, we're going to give you tips and stuff to do. Then it goes into a little bit deeper to say how people then react. So it's got something called protest behavior. So an anxious person, when they don't feel like the intimacy is there, they start to protest. So they will start to call you maybe more often. They will start to try to get a lot closer because they feel like, okay, there's distance in a relationship. But then you've got an avoidant who starts to do deactivation tactics. So when that person is trying to get closer, they will start to sort of draw away. Like, oh, this person's too needy. Whereas like, nah, she might just be calling you because she wants to know what you want for dinner. And you might be in a meeting and you're like, oh, why is she calling me 4 or 5 times? She's so needy. So you start to have your deactivation tactics there as well. So you have to obviously be careful about that. So then the book starts to give you tactics and stuff that you should actually do. And it's got something called turn out a small flame before it becomes a big fire. So what it means is turn down a small flame is if you are with an anxious person or a deactivation or a avoidant person, is recognize what they are and try and find ways to not avoid certain situations. Look at me using words like avoid, like an avoidant, but find ways to stop certain situations from occurring. So if she's calling you on multiple times, notice that she's not calling you just to be needy or whatever. She's calling for a particular reason. So pick up the phone. A quick call, a quick text message can save you from an argument or something further down the line.
So Olu, again,
Yeah.
I had a question. What was your
5 times?
What did you say? 4 or 5 times? We'll save you from
I'll
argument.
tell you what will stop an argument down the line and stop calling me 4 or 5 times. Listen.
You say that. You say that.
And as I hear you narrate that situation, I think to myself, couples. No, okay, this is just my personal opinion. But I was just thinking, when you're in a it's just when you hear all this, I'm just thinking to myself, if you're calling each other 4 or 5 times, stop it. Stop that.
Yeah,
you guys are going to be together for 25, 30, 40, 50 years.
But this is just exampple from the book. So this is examples from the book. But that's fine.
Peace
But you're saying that because you're an avoidant. You're saying that because you're an avoidant.
No, look,
the thing with P, he's someone like, you know, when someone calls you and they look at the phone, they're like, oh man, they put the phone back down. That's P. That's P.
No, that's how, yeah, it's got to be important enough. What I'm saying to you, no, that's something else. Anyways.
No, yeah, and it goes through the saying, and you two will know, P and Daniel, and feel free to chime in. It sort of says, look, guys, or just a happy wife is a happy life.
Yeah,
so
without the 4 or 5 calls a day, man, trust me, dog.
So, Olu, you didn't answer my question. What was your girlfriend trying to tell you when she gave you this book?
It was more for me to grow because like I mentioned before, I started a relationship more with I need my level of independence. I need my level of independence. I sort of rode that thing where it's like independence, but have a partner where you can share, build together, but you need to be self-sufficient. So I think this book, one, allowed me to understand it's okay not to be independent and have dependencies in other people. It made me understand myself. So when I was doing certain things, I would understand, oh, wait, that's a deactivation. That's me feeling threatened about my independence. So if I'm like, yo, I'm going to book a trip and go away for a week, like Pete said, am I doing it just because I really want to go away from a week, or am I doing it more because it's a deactivation and I feel like I need my independence back? So yeah, I think it's one of those things you can always continue to learn about yourself, especially in relationships. I know you two are married, so you probably have learned a lot about yourself, especially you, Daniel. There's been probably a lot of growth. You know, you're not the same man that you used to be. You know,
yeah, this
I think we turn this
ironed out over episode for sure.
But no, Oli, thank you for sharing that. It's good to know that your girlfriend bought your book that she thinks you can really grow from, because you know a powerful and successful relationship is what identify opportunities for each person to grow. But on that note,
I feel like you said that. Like, you know, when your manager's like, "Oh, this is a learning or development opportunity," the way you tried to drop that. No, but yeah.
Jokes aside, no, it was really good, insightful. And if anyone has any questions for our resident relationship guru, you know that is
so basically for all our listeners. When you're listening to our podcast and you're giving it the amazing review that it deserves, if you post it on your Instagram story and tag us, we'll select one lucky winner who will receive a copy of the book of the week, and we'll get that sent out to you.
Yeah, for this week's one, I'm going to give it as an audiobook because I think it'll be good as an audiobook. So I give someone a free token on Audible. And again, I'm not getting paid by Audible, so guys, don't worry.
But thank you. And of our listeners, if you want us to turn this into an episode we can hear more of Olu speak on relationship advice, feel free to let us know. We might even do a poll on Instagram stories.
About 4 or 5 pools, blood.
This will be a juicy episode. If P
is an avoidant. You can tell that P's an avoidant.
No. I'm just giving some jokes, but we can actually. This will be actually quite nice to probably hash out in the episode, especially I think especially going from the process of once being independent to then understanding how that doesn't work when you're in a relationship that you actually want to thrive over the next 30, 40, 50 years.
No, that's true. That's true.
We hope you found the episode enjoyable and somewhat entertaining. It's been a bit different to our usual ones, especially the book recommendation. But thank you for joining us. If you have any feedback for us, anything you'd like to know, please feel free to contact us on Instagram at Take Flight Podcast. Or if you're not on Instagram, feel free to email us at takeflightpodcast@gmail.com. See you soon.
Take off, take flight.